How does one nation maintain control over the entire globe? It's a question that sounds like it belongs in a sci-fi movie, but for the United States, it's a reality. I'm Dr. Alistair Finch, and today we're diving deep into the machinery of American military supremacy. How did the US build a military so powerful that no other country even comes close? And what does it truly mean to be the world's policeman? Let's unravel the story of unmatched power, a global footprint, and the complex legacy of American dominance. To understand American military might, you first have to follow the money. The United States spends more on its military than the next 10 countries combined. We're talking about a budget that exceeds $800 billion annually. This isn't just about paying soldiers. This is about funding the most technologically advanced war machine ever created. Think about the F-35 Lightning II, a stealth fighter jet so sophisticated it's often called a flying computer. Each one costs around $80 million and represents the pinnacle of aerial combat technology, capable of evading enemy radar and dominating the skies. Then there's the US Navy, the undisputed ruler of the high seas. The backbone of its power is the aircraft carrier. The US operates 11 massive nuclear-powered supercarriers. To put that in perspective, the next closest country might have 2 or 3, and none of them match the size or capability of an American carrier. Each one is a floating city, a mobile airbase carrying more firepower than most entire countries possess. A carrier strike group, which includes the carrier plus its escort of destroyers, cruisers, and submarines, can project American power to any coastline in the world within days. It's a symbol of global reach that is simply unparalleled. And we can't forget what happens on the ground. The US Army and Marine Corps are equipped with state-of-the-art tanks like the M1 Abrams, advanced armored vehicles, and a vast arsenal of precision-guided munitions. This isn't just about having more guns, it's about having smarter weapons. GPS-guided bombs, drone technology, and sophisticated surveillance systems give US forces an incredible advantage, allowing them to see farther, strike more accurately, and communicate more effectively than any potential adversary. This technological gap isn't just a small advantage, it's a chasm that separates the US from the rest of the world. This immense firepower is the first pillar of American supremacy, a clear and undeniable statement of strength. But firepower alone doesn't secure global dominance. You need to be everywhere. The United States has mastered this through an incredible network of military bases. Imagine a web stretching across the entire planet. The US maintains over 800 military installations in more than 150 countries, from massive bases in Germany and Japan that house tens of thousands of troops, to smaller, strategic outposts in Africa and the Middle East. This global footprint is unprecedented in history. No empire, not the Romans, not the British ever, had this kind of worldwide presence. These bases serve multiple purposes. They are launch pads for rapid deployment, allowing the US to respond to crises anywhere in the world in a matter of hours, not weeks. They are hubs for intelligence gathering, with listening posts and surveillance centers that monitor communications and activities across entire regions. And they are powerful symbols of American commitment and influence. Having a US base in your country is a clear signal of a strategic partnership. This network is reinforced by a complex system of alliances, with NATO being the most prominent example. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, formed after World War II, binds the US to the defense of Europe. An attack on one member is considered an attack on all. This alliance effectively extends America's security umbrella over dozens of nations. Similar treaties exist with key partners in the Pacific, like Japan, South Korea, and Australia. These alliances aren't just paper promises. They involve joint military exercises, shared intelligence, and integrated command structures. This transforms the US military from a single national force into the leader of a global coalition, multiplying its power and influence exponentially. This strategic positioning, this ability to be present everywhere at once, is the second pillar of American hegemony. This vast military machine wasn't built to just sit idle. Throughout its history, especially after World War II, the United States has consistently used its military to project power and shape global events. This history of intervention is the third pillar of its supremacy. The story begins in the ashes of the Second Great War, with the world divided between two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. The first major test came in Korea, when North Korea invaded the South in 1950. The US led a United Nations coalition to push them back. It was a brutal, costly war, but it established a clear precedent. America was willing to use its military force to contain the spread of communism and defend its allies. This pattern continued throughout the Cold War. The most famous and divisive conflict was, of course, the Vietnam War. What began as a mission to advise South Vietnamese forces escalated into a full-scale war involving over 500,000 American troops. Though it ended in a U.S. withdrawal and is widely seen as a strategic failure, it demonstrated the sheer scale of military power America was willing to deploy to achieve its geopolitical goals. After the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, the U.S. emerged as the world's sole superpower. This new era was quickly defined by the First Gulf War. When Saddam Hussein's Iraq invaded Kuwait, the U.S. assembled a massive international coalition and, in a swift and decisive campaign called Operation Desert Storm, liberated Kuwait. The display of overwhelming technological superiority was staggering, and it cemented America's role as the global enforcer. The 21st century brought new challenges, primarily the rise of non-state actors and global terrorism. The attacks of September 11, 2001, triggered the War on Terror, leading to long and complex interventions in Afghanistan and Iraq. These conflicts were different, less about confronting a rival nation-state and more about counterinsurgency and nation-building. They were long, costly, and controversial, but they once again underscored America's willingness to engage in prolonged military campaigns far from its own shores. From Cold War containment to counterterrorism, this history of intervention has shown the world, time and again, that the U.S. has both the capability and the will to use its military force to protect its interests and shape the international order. So, we have this incredible military power. But what are the consequences of being the world's policeman? This is a double-edged sword. On one hand, American hegemony has been credited with maintaining a degree of global stability. Proponents argue that the U.S. Navy's protection of global shipping lanes ensures the free flow of commerce that powers the world economy. They point to the fact that since 1945, there have been no major wars between great powers, a period often referred to as the Long Peace. The argument is that America's overwhelming power deters potential aggressors and keeps regional conflicts from escalating into global catastrophes. In this view, the U.S. acts as a stabilizing force, a global sheriff that maintains order in a chaotic world. However, there's a significant flip side. Being the world's policeman is an incredibly expensive and controversial job. The immense financial cost of maintaining a global military presence and fighting wars abroad means less money is available for domestic priorities, like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. The human cost is even more profound, measured in the lives of soldiers and civilians caught in conflict zones. Furthermore, American military interventions are often met with criticism and resentment. Many see them not as acts of global policing, but as infringements on national sovereignty, or even a form of modern imperialism. Actions like drone strikes, which can result in civilian casualties, have fueled anti-American sentiment around the world. This creates a paradox. The very power that is meant to ensure security can sometimes generate instability and backlash. The role of world policeman forces the U.S. to make difficult choices, often with no easy answers. Is it America's responsibility to intervene in a civil war? Where is the line between protecting human rights and interfering in another country's internal affairs? These are the complex, often thankless questions that come with being a hegemon. The debate over whether the benefits of this global role outweigh the costs is one of the most defining political conversations of our time. So what does the future hold for American military supremacy? The world is changing rapidly. We are moving from a unipolar world, dominated by the United States, to a multipolar one. The economic and military rise of China is the most significant geopolitical development of the 21st century. China is rapidly modernizing its military, developing advanced technologies, and expanding its own global influence. Russia, though not the superpower it once was, remains a formidable military power with a willingness to challenge the US-led order. At the same time, the nature of conflict itself is evolving. The new battlegrounds are in cyberspace, in space, and in the realm of information. Future wars may be won not by tanks and ships, but by hackers and satellites. The US is still the leader in many of these areas, but its advantage is no longer as secure as it once was. Maintaining supremacy will require adapting to these new domains of warfare. The question for American leaders is no longer just how to maintain dominance, but what kind of role the US should play in this new, more complex world. Will it continue to act as the global policeman, or will it shift towards a more restrained role, sharing the burden of security with its allies and even its rivals? The decisions made in the coming years will determine not only the future of American power, but the shape of global peace and security for decades to come. The era of unquestioned American dominance may be evolving, but its military legacy will continue to influence the world for a very long time. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of American military power. If you found this analysis insightful, please like this video, subscribe to our channel for more deep dives, and share your thoughts in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.